Hi Aquarius, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly horoscope for the month of June. And we have an intense month ahead, an intense summer ahead because we're officially in eclipse season, and we have several planets retrograde, which is a reflective time, many of which are in your 12th house of endings and spirituality and dreams and creativity. But probably a lot of emotional things coming up for you as well, and restructuring a lot in that area of your life because you are preparing for next year when Saturn re-enters your sign. Saturn briefly was in your sign, and well, it's in your sign right now, but it entered the sign of Aquarius on March 23rd. It's stationed retrograde on May 11th in your 12th house of the subconscious. It's the house of endings. It's in a sense finishing up the Saturn transit of the last 28 and a half to 30 years of all the other houses. You're processing and gleaning the lessons as you prepare for Saturn re-entering your first house of self, where it is right now in your sign. And Saturn is going to exit your sign on June 2nd and re-enter Capricorn and re-enter your 12th house of the subconscious mind and creativity. And it will re-enter your sign on December 17th, where it'll be for the next couple of years. So you're really going to be in a big cycle. And Jupiter is going to enter your sign at the end of the year. So this is going to be a big deal. At the end of the year, there's a Saturn-Jupiter cycle known as a great cycle when they come together and conjoin at 0 degrees of Aquarius in your sign, at a degree of new beginnings in your first house of self and new beginnings, and really structuring the vision of what you want the next couple of years to be. Now, with all of that said, there's a lot of volatility right now. Mars is a key player. Mars is building up to squaring Venus in the sky, and that happens on the 2nd of June. And that falls in your, let's see, I have to keep it together here. It falls in your 5th house of creativity and romance and self-expression. And let's see, so Venus is actually retrograding in your house of romance. It retrograded on May 13th at 21 degrees of Gemini, and it stations direct on June 25th. And Venus retrogrades once every 18 months, and it retrogrades once every 8 years in the sign of Gemini. So it's transiting in your house of self-expression, your house of creativity. Definitely for all of us, many people from our past can resurface with Venus retrograde because it's a personal planet and it represents our relationships, what we value, old lovers, old friends, old schoolmates, people from every avenue of our lives can resurface in some way. And it's a time of reconnecting to your creativity. In existing relationships, when Venus retrogrades, sometimes issues can surface, and given that Venus is squaring Mars in the sky, that's not easy. And in the Venus retrograde chart, it was squaring Neptune in that, and that can be very deceptive, elusive, emotional energy. And so, and Venus is out of bounds until July 1st. So that's intensifying the energy of this. And we have a beautiful aspect on June 3rd that happens once a year when Venus meets up in the sun with the sun in Gemini, well, in the sun in the sky, and in this case in Gemini, and it's going to fall also in that house for you. So this is a time to honor your creativity and what you value and what you want to manifest ideally. And on the 5th of June, we have a lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Sagittarius, and that falls in your house of friends and groups and associations and this could be this is going to be a very volatile energy with Mars exactly square the lunar eclipse. And just bear in mind that again Mars is transiting in Pisces, and that is in your second house of income and what you value, and it's squaring Venus in the house of romance and creativity. And it's just try to manifest it in a creative way, because the second house is how you create also, and how you, but realistically it's going to be a tough eclipse. So I think just kind of just recognizing that Mars energy is strong for the rest of the summer, because Mars is going to enter Aries at the end of the month on June 27th, and it will be in Aries, the sign it rules, until the end of the year. It actually exits on January 3rd of next year. So, and it's going to retrograde from, uh, sorry, from September 9th until November 13th. And that is challenging energy, and that's retrograding in your house of income and what you value. So if there are things financially that you also are working on right now, and trying to, create new ways of forming income, or readjusting your finances, or launching something new professionally, well, it's not ideal to do it with Venus retrograde, but we've had such an intense year with this historical lineup in Capricorn, that is all about death and rebirth and restructuring. But ideally, you don't want to do it in Venus retrograde, but more so when Mars is retrograde, which is in the fall from the 9th of September through November 13th. That would not be a great time to launch something. And that's going to be a challenging energy, because Mars is going to square all of the planets in Capricorn in your 12th house of the subconscious. A lot of things could come up emotionally for you too. So I think right now, just focusing on going with the flow with all this mutable energy, trying to be creative, try to use that energy to be productive in work, and just recognizing that it is going to be volatile energy. And we have on the 11th of June, the sun in Gemini squares Neptune in Pisces. And so that could uncover deceit. That could just be very sensitive energy. And Mars is still transiting in Pisces, which is very dreamy, sensitive energy, and emotional action, how we're taking action on how we feel, with Mars and Pisces. And so, and eclipses uncover information and bring things to light. So this is going to be a really intense time. Eclipse season is a very pressured time. And then we have on the 13th of June, Mars meets up with Neptune in Pisces, and the moon will be in Pisces that day. And that's going to be a pretty tough day, I think, just low energy, and again, in your house of income and value. So maybe slowing down in review period with Venus retrograde too, to figure out ideally how you move forward in the most constructive way. And then on the 20th of June, we have the summer solstice, and that's when the sun enters 0 degrees of Cancer and officially begins the summer season. The sun stops for 3 days, and it's a good time to review what you want this season to be. And it's a unique solstice because so that happens at 5:44 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and then soon after, at 2:41 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on the 21st of June, we have a total solar eclipse. Big deal. And that's at the world axis, which means that everybody's going to feel it, each and every one of us, whether or not we have anything in a cardinal sign or in Cancer. So this is a time, and it's a new moon eclipse. It's a time of initiating new beginnings and setting intentions. And I would definitely channel it in that way for you. And it falls in your house of work and daily routine. And I would, definitely figure out how you want to channel that energy. Okay. And again, eclipses are unpredictable and they're wild cards. And we know a lot of craziness is going to be, but it also could bring a lot of, you're the sign of connection. You're the sign of ingenuity and genius. And it's about forming community during this time. It's about you're leading us. Saturn's still in your sign until the beginning of July. It's the technological advances. Look at what happened with NASA over the weekend. And when Saturn was in Aquarius from 91 to 94, we had a huge technological surge. The World Wide Web started. We had providers like AOL and Prodigy begin and lead us to social media, good and bad, but it is effective for business. And you are the sign of technology, among other things, and you are the sign of networking and social media and connection. And I think that when Saturn re-enters your sign, we're forming really the Aquarian age. You're going to be leading us starting at the end of the year into next year. This is now going to be your time where you're in the spotlight. And I think it's really about finding people of like-minded values, joining your community and enlightenment, and also a lot about education and advancing your skills. And that's Saturn and Aquarius to me. And rethinking how we have been connecting as human beings, because obviously a lot of pain, a lot of anger if it's in the world, and that's obvious. So we have a total solar eclipse does fall in your house of work. Honor that. And then at the end of the month, we have a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. That's a very empowering and manifesting aspect. It's one of great success. It falls in your house of daily routine and work. So again, you are, and health, your health habits. How are you taking care of yourself during this time? And really figuring out how you can be more productive, and reviewing that this summer with the planets retrograde. Even though there's going to be a lot of activity, it is review period at the same time. So I wish you a lot of luck, Aquarius, and thank you. Oops.